Hi, I'm Leslie Smith with Property Quest Realty. And what I want to talk to you today about is real estate realness. These are the things that people just don't tell you about the real estate industry and being a real estate agent. There was a time before HGTV that nobody cared about the stuff we did. Nobody cared about a real estate agent. They just knew somebody wanted a house. Next thing you knew it, they were in a house. So we weren't on full display. Nobody really thought about the job of a real estate agent. The way that it is that you sometimes see it portrayed, you're only seeing such a small part of it. When I am showing houses in New Orleans, and in New Orleans it's hot and it's humid, so it's 95 degrees outside, and you're showing four houses, and then it starts to rain, and then you go into a house, and it's not this empty, beautifully staged house. There are actually people that are living in it. One is obviously been smoking weed because you can smell it all in the house. There are dogs barking. There's all kind of things going on. On HGTV, you will see none of that. You will not see them dress in the way that I need to dress with tennis shoes on so I can get in and out the rain and in and out real quick while I show these houses. So that is like a very small slice of what you see on HGTV and all these other shows that are featuring real estate agents. The reality of it is not that glamorous. You know, like I said, we are in hot houses. We are in and out of our car. We are eating sometimes breakfast, lunch, and dinner in our cars. Also, after the showings are done, they want to write an offer, and sometimes you still have to get home and put some clothes in the washing machine and do all those things, and then comes 10 o'clock at night, that's when you're actually writing the offer, or that's when you're putting the listing up, or that's when you're able to read the emails that have been coming in all day. So this glamorous life that TV is showing you about real estate and real estate agents, there may be some that live that way, but most of the ones that I know that I work with, that we are intimately involved in buying and selling homes and showing homes, that is just not our life. The truth is, there are times that we don't see one single dollar until we go to closing. And that process could be about a year, honestly. So we could meet a client, and during that time, that whole process, we are their counselor, we are their therapist, we are their spiritual teacher. We are so many things to them before we even get paid. So sometimes when people think that this is just this glamorous job and there's all this money involved, can you make money in the real estate industry? Definitely, yes. But the process to get to it, it takes a while. There may be a client that you meet that still has to go through the process of getting things cleared on their credit. Then, finding the right mortgage broker to work with them, then going through the process of seeing how much they're going to be pre-approved for. Then, oh, you got to go back because something hit their credit that wasn't there before. So you have to double back and go through that process of waiting for something to fall off, or maybe waiting for them to save enough to pay off an old debt that needs to come off of their credit so they can get a good interest rate. So there is just a whole long time period. So you do need to know that how you're going to live, how you're going to sustain yourself during that time while you're going through that process. So you really need to be passionate about what you're doing. You need to really understand your true why. And if it's immediately just for the money, there are other places that you can go to actually make more money, that you can get paid on the first and the 15th of every month. I talked before about having endurance. This is really an endurance game. You're in it for the long haul. Are there some sales that are quick? Yes, they're a cash buyer. They have the cash because of however, a lawsuit, savings, whatever, and they go to closing within 3 weeks. Does that happen? Yes, it does happen. But most of the clients that are out there, they need a mortgage. They've had something on their credit that they need to work through. They still have to qualify. They want a house that looks like it costs $400,000, but they're only approved for 200. So finding that medium, that place of what they need plus a little bit of what they want, going through all of that. So it is a process, and I hope I'm not making it sound awful because I love my job. I would not do anything else. But just understand that some of the things that you see on television and the things you see, you know, you don't see what's really behind the scenes. So just understand that. And there are times that everything just falls apart. I had a friend who told me the other day she had a deal that was in the OR. So that basically means that it's in the operating room, that you're still trying to make sure that it's going to happen. And one thing I really hate when people say the house didn't pass the inspection. I don't think houses pass or fail. It basically depends on what that buyer can tolerate. So if someone has roof problems, that may be fine for someone else who knows that, okay, I was going to get a new roof anyway. So it's not that it passes or fails, it's really what the buyer can accept. There are things that happen outside of it being something about the house. It could be that buyer's financing just didn't go through. They were on, they were already on the edge and just something tipped them over that they could no longer qualify for that home. Or maybe they're not with a lender that has a product that could suit their particular financial need. Um, I was working with the client just recently, and he had gone to two other lenders that he came with. He was recommended one with somebody at his office, and then that didn't work. So then he tried to go through the lender that was with the subdivision that they were building. That didn't work. So twice he got rejected. And I just said, I really think I have somebody who can make this work. So it was basically the lender and the lender's products and what happens with underwriting and what that lender could accept. And that family is now in a house today. So also understanding that, so it's not necessarily just about the house. It could be about the buyer. Things happen such as the buyer changes their mind. They could get cold feet. I've had situations where buyers were influenced by someone else not to buy a house or saying, oh, this is not the time, you really shouldn't buy the house. So there's so many reasons that deals fall through. And that just really needs to be a part of any agent's, contingency plan, to know that you just don't count your money until that check is in your hand. So that's just really the reality of it all. But once again, it's exhausting, it's tough work. But would I have it any other way? Not at all. That's really why endurance matters, because you need to know how to bounce back. And I think bouncing back is crucial because you honestly can't stay down. When you bounce, if you think of a ball bouncing, it goes down, it has no option but to come back up. If it's inflated and if you still have life, you're going to come back up. I think the key to that is, like I said, just having that endurance and understanding that. There have been times where I really thought that my ball was not going to bounce back up. Um, this was still very early in my career. Probably, I definitely was in the first year. I had a client, they were very, very close to closing. It was a new construction. They were buying it in a subdivision. It was a coveted subdivision that, somebody else easily wanted that house. So everything was going relatively smoothly. And all of a sudden they got a letter saying that the subdivision was about to be gated and they would have new deed restrictions in there. And my clients just would not have it. That that guy was just adamant about nobody telling him what he could do at his house. So I tried to explain, deed restrictions are to keep the community, looking good. So no one could just, I don't know, put up a chicken coop in their backyard when you're living in just a regular subdivision. But he just wasn't having it. So he actually, we got out the contract. And I remember being crushed. I remember crying because I'll never forget. This would have been a really nice commission, like a $10,000 commission check. And I just bawled crying and was thinking at the end of the world. And then I just really had to sit back and think about how many offers that this particular client had backed out of. This was not the first one. So when I put it all in perspective, I realized that I was not the agent to work with this family anymore. So I actually told them, I really think that you need to find another agent. This is like the third house that you've backed out on. I didn't say this part, but I didn't even know how serious they were at this point. They were looking for any kind of out. So I had to just recognize that this was costing me more time than anything. So I backed out of it. Um, Another time that I had to bounce back, this really hit me really, really hard because it was a family member. We had gone through finding a lender, showing a few houses, and then one day I just get a call from this family member who was really close to me, like a really close family member who I can, you know, tell you lots of things I felt like I did for this family member. And the family member just called and said, you know, we actually we found another agent because they showed us this house and we're going to go with this house, and the agent said the only way to get this house is to go through them. And when I say I was crushed, I was absolutely crushed. That hurt me harder than losing that larger commission check because it was someone that I had watched grow up, and that was like an intimate part of their life. So that crushed me, and I cried again. I guess I'm a really emotional person, but I realized that in both of those scenarios, I have no control over other people. I have no control over buyers. I have no control over sellers, but I have control over one person, and that's me. That's how I really react to it. That's how I bounce back from it. And I learned valuable lessons from those. So I guess the main point of all of this is to really understand that you can't stay down. You can't stay down when hard things happen in this business, just like in life. Things are going to happen. What you can do is learn from it, learn not how to make the same mistake twice, and realize that you cannot control anyone else. You can only control yourself. So having realistic expectations, having contingency plans, a contingency plan, and just having endurance. That is really the way to succeed in this game. I hope this shed a little bit of light on the real side of real estate because this is not always glamorous. It's sometimes pretty ugly. People will break your heart. You will cry. You will scream. But you will also have flexibility. You'll have freedom. You have so many opportunities. You are literally writing your own paycheck and you're really making a difference in building communities. So I hope once again that this doesn't scare you, but it just gives you another side of it that's not always shown, and that for whatever reason people don't want to talk about. It's that messy middle that we talked about before. That you just need to understand that beginnings are beautiful, endings are beautiful, but it's just this middle ground. I want you to just get really, really real with you. But if I can do it, you can do it. There is nothing about this job. We are not doing brain surgery. We are selling homes. We are creating communities. We are passing on legacies. And to me, that's worth it every time. So, again, I'm Leslie Smith with Property Quest Realty, and I hope you join me again for my next episode.